Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Comic Book Syndicate. We are here again reviewing superhero movies. I am your co-host Mike L, and I'm joined by the regular crew of Here Comes the Spider Cast, starting with G.I. Jolie. Hi, G.I. Jolie.
Hi, Mike L.
Woo! All right. Also joining us, Bex Luthor. Yay!
Yo, what up? It's Trash Queen, and I'm here because somebody needs to like this movie.
And of course, also from Here Comes the Spider Cast, Joshua Murr-VELL.
What's going on? It looks like I need to get myself a catchphrase.
All the super movies are coming out within 3 weeks of each other this year because they were all pushed back. So now we're already doing another one, Venom 2. We reviewed Venom 1, and I believe most of us didn't like it, but I believe one person did. Am I right, Becca?
Which one of you guys was it? Was it you, Josh? You liked it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I wasn't here for the Venom review the first time around, and I thought it was pretty okay.
I thought Venom 1 was pretty rough. Really rough. And like Tom Hardy's one of my favorite actors, but I thought he was slumming it in that movie.
I think that he did a really great job.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
As in this film, I think he's the best part of the movie. I think that where the first one suffers from is that it has a really poor bad guy, and when he turns into like his monster form, it's just like Venom again. So when they're fighting, you can't really tell what's going on. The action scenes are all muddied and dark.
So before we get into detail, though, let's just briefly talk about because this is Venom 2. Venom in the comics is a bad guy, but now in this movie, because they don't have Spider-Man, he's kind of the good guy. Yet the symbiote is actually like he wants to eat human brains to sustain himself, right?
Yeah, and there are versions of Venom that are good
the
guys.
Lethal Protector, which they hit us over the head with the entire movie.
Eddie Brock hasn't been a bad guy for like 10 years.
Okay. Well, I started reading Venom stories in like 88 or 87 or whatever, so that's the Venom I know.
Because like the King in Black saga just ended. He literally just saved the entire universe. So
well, let's just but the point is in this movie they introduce a new villain, which Josh was talking about, which is Carnage, which again in the comics, so Venom is basically the black costume Spider-Man, but on a bulkier person. Carnage is supposed to look like black and red mixed together, like inky black and inky red kind of mixed together, right? I don't remember from the comic they explained why that was. Do you remember? Was it because of... I don't remember why.
I think in the comic, for some reason, I remember it, the symbiote mixed with Cletus's blood for some reason. I thought for some reason it was like reversed in the comics. So I think that's why they kind of... that's how they describe it, is it's like actually bonding and like mixing together with the symbiote rather than it being a symbiotic relationship where they just kind of work together. They're actually kind of like combining, and that's where Carnage kind of comes from. So
here's the thing. I think I was the only one reading Spider-Man at that time. This would have been 91-ish.
Just you.
Yeah, well, out of the three of us, they sold one copy per month. I was reading Spider-Man at the time, and I bought those Carnage issues. I did not like them. I thought the art by Mark Bagley was so bad. I actually stopped buying Spider-Man right around there. I just dropped it. Everyone else raves about those issues, whatever. So I've never been a fan of Carnage. G.I. Jolie, you're probably the only one that's never read any Carnage comics. What do you know about Carnage, or have you read any Carnage comics?
I saw him on a lot of shirts in my high school.
Yes.
I just thought, I didn't really know that Carnage was different than Venom.
Okay.
I just thought that he was like a red variant of the same sort of creature.
Was this the insane clown posse crowd on like an off day with their Carnage shirts, or?
No.
Same guys?
These were my closest friends.
Oh, okay. Whoops a daisy.
The band geeks and the art students.
Okay.
So...
Not that there's anything wrong with liking Insane Clown Posse.
Right.
No, I think
the Juggalos are kind people.
For life.
Right. So, okay.
They're like furries. They're misunderstood.
Right? No one
don't
understands.
Come near me. but don't come near me.
Yeah, exactly. So at the end of the last movie, they had the cliffhanger ending or the post-credit sequence with Woody Harrelson, whom I only know from Cheers. So, I mean, I don't know why they picked him. But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm a fan. He's cool. It's hard for me to get past his role in Cheers, but I do like him. But yeah, I guess if you're going to cast anyone as, what's his name? Cletus Cassidy?
Cletus Cassidy.
You might as well cast Woody Harrelson. However, I think the ending of the one little scene with Venom in the first one, the one little scene with Woody Harrelson in the first one might have been better than this entire movie. I didn't really like him as Carnage. Okay, let me just start off my review. I'm going to say one sentence. This could be the worst superhero movie I've seen since like maybe Elektra or Catwoman. I thought it was
how dare you?
I thought Andy Serkis apparently directed this movie. It was one of the most terribly shot, terribly edited, terribly paced, also terribly written superhero movies I've seen in a long time. A long time. I really hated every second of this movie. Except for when Michelle Williams was on screen. Other than that, I hated every second of this movie. Who would like to go next?
I liked it.
Okay.
I thought it was a huge improvement on the first one, which I thought was like a pretty average, mediocre, less than mediocre. Like it was just fine. It had some fun moments, but it was just kind of like whatever. The best parts of it, again, were like Eddie and Venom's relationship and how they've kind of adapted that from the comics, and they've made it more of this they made it more of a relationship rather than Venom just being a character on his own. And then this one, I think, kind of brings it to a whole new level. I think that you can see everything that's happening in this movie, which is a definite plus. It's a nice, quick, short movie. The pacing is very fast. They jump right into the story, and they don't really leave any room for things that don't need to be in the movie. Like they just kind of
like story. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
So
no, okay, I'll give you that. It's a good running time.
Yeah.
1 point for Venom 2 running time.
But yeah, I liked it. I don't know. I enjoyed it. Is it a great movie? No, it's not a fantastic movie with a stellar story, but I had a lot of fun watching it. I think the humor really works. I think Tom Hardy, Tom Hardy really kind of embodies Eddie Brock now. Like I can't really picture anybody else playing that character. Like I'm sure that they could, but this relationship completely works between the two of them. I don't know if it helps that he plays both Eddie and Venom, like the voices. So he's kind of. I
was wondering about that. So yeah, he's the voice, eh?
So he kind of off himself. I kind of like it. Like I think that relationship. The fact that this story feels more like a love story between the two of them too. Like they have like their own like relationship problems and a breakup, and they have a moment where they're like separated and they realize that they need each other, and they come back at the end of the film and they realize that they're essentially made for each other, and they should never be apart. And they've kind of got to learn now to live with each other, and the two of them make each other better and they elevate each other, right? Because we see Venom, it seems like is the one that holds all the power. Eddie, he makes a bunch of points and kind of tells Eddie that he's nothing without Venom. Without the symbiote, he was kind of a loser. He was fine, but everything was crashing down until he came into his life and lifted him back up. So when Venom finally gets tired of Eddie kind of downplaying everything he's done and he leaves, he realizes that Venom, he needs Eddie just as much as Eddie needs him. And it was kind of I don't know. I thought it was a great idea to kind of make that relationship between them stronger.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Your description is better than the movie, because if they would have emphasized and shown everything you just said, then it would have been a good movie, I don't think. But there was so much chaos and crap going on. I mean, obviously what you just said is there, but it was covered up by all this other stuff. But I want to jump to G.I. Joe and get your first impression. What's your first impression of this movie?
I think I'm still confused about the whole. Is Venom supposed to be like this buddy puppet ventriloquist act? Is that how it's played out in the comics?
Sometimes.
Not really. Not really.
Not originally, but I think now it is more like that. Where before it was more of like a the symbiote attached to Eddie Brock, and it's just kind of like Eddie Brock's evil side taking over. So it's just kind of like his like nasty side amplified when he's the villain. But then I think more modern iterations, it does kind of have this like almost like a dual personality type thing where they're kind of like bouncing off each other, and the symbiote is its own thing.
Okay, so my first impression is it was terrible. Hot garbage, not hot, like simmering. It's been days in the sun garbage. Like a couple days where you put out your garbage early and it's like before garbage day, so it sits out there for a couple days, but the next couple days are humid, maybe like 24 to 28 degree weather. That's what this movie was for me. I still can't get over the whole Venom thing. Like that Venom is an attachment of him over his shoulder, like in a CGI attachment over his shoulder. I can't get over the voice that Tom Hardy makes for Venom. It's comedic in like a cringy kind of way. Then to have Carnage do the exact same thing was worse. I mean, Andy Serkis, did he direct both of these films?
I think just
I think just the second one.
Because I feel like his experience on Lord of the Rings in a dual personality role could have sort of like it could have influenced the way that he directed a Venom movie. I liked the duality that Peter Jackson presented to us, and I felt like I was like, oh, Andy Serkis, that's different, that's new. He's done this before. Like he's done the whole CGI thing where there's one of him and a bad version of him. Maybe he'll like that experience will lend itself to maybe flattening like what was offered. Parker doesn't like my assessment.
Sorry.
Like to what is there. Instead, what they did was they took what happened in the first movie and like amplified it by 10, making it almost worse. I will say though that this movie, Let There Be Carnage, was way better than the first one. Like it was truthful when I said I didn't hate it. I also didn't love it, but I was more entertained. It felt like there was more of a story that I could follow. I'm really disappointed in, which we can talk about later, but or get more into depth later, but I'm really disappointed that they didn't do more with Shriek.
Okay.
They had a great character and they really like fucked that. Excuse me. They really messed that up. But
okay, we're going to come back and we're going to do a general discussion in a minute, but what I think the moment everyone's been waiting for here is Becca's review, because I got a feeling I was surprised Josh liked it, but Becca, I think you liked it more than anyone. What did you think of it?
Well, here's the thing. Hold on. I can't sit straight because I'm not straight, and that's a big reason why I think I like this movie more than most people did. This movie's pretty queer, and the other people that I see liking this movie are all queer, gender nonconforming, outcast type people because pretty gay. They say that they love each other. Like Venom says, "I love you" at the end. He makes him breakfast. He comes out like
Yeah.
we're like subtexting as much as we physically can before it just breaches, right? I mean, is it a good movie? No. Like structurally, is it like but do I love it still? Like I don't. Is it one of the best B movies of all time? Maybe. I love this movie. You should have seen my partner's reaction. He was like, "What the hell is this?" And I was like, it's art.
Yeah, like I'm totally with Becca here. Like I'm confused. Were you guys expecting this movie to be like really great, like a great film? You know what I mean? Like I loved it because it was like I feel like it's exactly what a Venom movie should be, and it only like it was exactly what a Venom movie could ever be.
No,
You know what I mean? Like
no.
There's a
can
rave scene
No, okay. Oh my God.
where
Look.
Venom comes out and he's covered in rainbow glow sticks,
glowing jewelry.
and then he talked about how Eddie doesn't accept him for who he is, and then he cries because Eddie's not there at the end, and I cried because Venom was sad, and I don't want to. And then we go to a church, which is just a straight up parallel to the 2014 Venom run, where Venom and Eddie basically get married in a church. They like, "Oh, Eddie, this is the church where we first met. We're married." Like, and it's about like Eddie calls Venom "my love." Like that's what this comic is. That's what this movie is based off of. It was that run, which is my favorite Venom run, because they're just like, you know what? No, this big burly man's man loves this alien.
Okay, but here's the thing. I can totally accept, like, you know, I've seen tons of 80s horror movies that are considered complete garbage. As for example, I've seen all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and at least 4 of them are great.
Garbage.
No, 4 of them are great, but even the ones that people don't like, they always have this like subtext that I didn't realize when I saw it in 1988. And okay, that's fine. And maybe this is one of those movies, but as I'm watching it, you know, we talked about like the first time you see Tom Hardy on screen and he's walking down, I think it's like an apartment hallway or something, right? Or is it a hospital? I don't remember. But he's walking down behind someone and Venom like pops out from behind his back or whatever. I'm like, oh my God. And then they go into the bathroom and he's talking to Venom in the bathroom, and there's a girl in the stall next to him. And I'm sitting here going, I know exactly what they're trying to do, and it's not working. It's directed poorly. It's animated poorly. It's written poorly. The acting, like Tom Hardy's a great actor, but his Venom voice is so idiotic. And, you know, I'm sitting here, I've got friends that think I'm an idiot for even watching these superhero movies, and I'm always defending them. And I'm sitting here watching this movie, and I'm like, wow, now I know exactly why they think these movies are garbage, because of this. Like, this is
lots of movies are garbage. Like, it's not just the superhero genre that has that problem.
Okay, yes, you're right. But
Like,
this is
out of the thousands of movies that come out in a year, how many are good? 4?
But in the way that 80s horror was like the worst of the worst in the 80s, I think that these types of superhero movies are the worst of what we see now. Like, this is, I don't think I could find let's put it this way, guys. I don't think I could find a stupider movie made in 2021. And G.I. Joe,
the second half of Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad is 1,000 times better. Oh wait, the new one?
I said Suicide Squad.
Okay, yes,
not
There was the
yes.
Suicide
James
Squad.
Gunn's Suicide Squad is the right way to do a stupid B movie. James Gunn's Suicide Squad is awesome. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna pay $30 to own it. This movie is a stupid, bad. Like, again, I got to the end credits and it said directed by Andy Serkis. I'm like, oh my God, what does he do? What is he thinking when he's directing this movie? Like, I don't know.
I know what he's thinking. I'll tell you what he's thinking.
Okay.
He went into the dredges of the fandom, of the comic book fandom, where all of us weirdo, monster fucker, weirdos, super weirdos, hang out, and went, I'm gonna make a movie for those people.
Mm.
Screw everybody else. Screw the fanboys. Screw people who like cinema. I'm gonna make a movie specifically for people who want Eddie and Venom to make out. But I'm not gonna give them that because that's almost too much.
But that's the thing, though, is that I don't think that he did intentionally.
That's not. I don't care what he intended to do. That's
You
what he did.
really? You don't think so? I totally think so. I mean, even Tom Hardy, he like, you can tell that he's really grown to love and appreciate this character and has put a lot of like effort into doing so. Even the fact that he's like now the producer and writer of this movie. Like I think that he wouldn't be as involved if he wasn't like as passionate about it as, you know.
Okay, I think we're living in Oz because
He said these things in interviews that he loves Venom and you have to pry it out of his cold dead hands. He's going to be Venom till he's dead.
Let's be clear. It is possible that somewhere between shooting and editing, something went wrong because, like I said, the editing to me is unwatchable. This movie is like the way that it's staged and the way the camera's flying around. It's so fast paced. I honestly cannot watch this movie. Now, again, there are good actors in this movie. Tom Hardy's a good actor. Michelle Williams is a great actor. But I'm watching this movie going, what? Okay, for example, Josh, you mentioned the scene where Carnage is first introduced, right? Like actual Carnage, like when he walks
when he's
out.
Coming out of the...
So
Yeah, when
prison,
he's coming towards the camera, and I'm like, oh no, what are they going to do? Are they going to do it? Are they going to do this? Yeah, they did it. Carnage comes towards the camera and screams at the camera, which...
I thought it was cool.
When I saw The Mummy in 1999, that was already a cliche, and now it's been 23 years. And they're still doing the same 21-year-old, like the CGI animator that was born in 1999 is now doing the scene and going, I saw this in The Mummy and I'm going to redo it. It's all the same shit. I can't.
Yeah, but that's every
I would like to say,
superhero movie.
Yeah, but it should be. Like,
wait.
Every superhero.
This isn't like a Venom criticism.
You know, like a
this is like every superhero movie.
Like, you know how superheroes land like this? Just because every superhero does it doesn't mean it's okay. It's bad to be cliche. It's bad to be a stereotype, I think.
No, you don't understand camp, okay? That's what's going on here. You have to take the stereotypes that people use to define you and embrace it fully. Why do you think so many gay people drape themselves in rainbows? Because like, oh, there goes the queers again. Well, yeah, you don't like that I'm gay? I'm gonna be as gay as I fucking can. And that's what this movie is.
Well,
it's like, oh, you don't like Sony's Venom? It's gonna be as Sony Venom as possible.
Well, here's the thing. When Venom's on stage and he has those, what are those called? Glow in the dark thing? Glow sticks?
Glow sticks?
There was a part of me that was like, what the fuck am I watching? But there was another part of me that was like, no, this is awesome the way Tobey Maguire going emo was awesome. Like, this is crazy. But I still think they should have filmed it better, but I appreciate that they embrace the absurdity. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I think that a lot of what makes this film feel weird when watching it is the editing. I can almost guarantee you this movie was originally a lot longer, and then Sony mandated it to be shorter and cut it down to an hour and a half because there are moments where scenes will just like end abruptly and it cuts to the next scene or it fades or wipes or whatever, and it feels weird. I think that's all in the editing because I wasn't missing anything story-wise in those moments. Like I feel like the story beats flowed together, but it was just the like whiplash of the cut to the next scene without having any transition or like nothing. It was just like it really felt like they cut all the parts that were important and then they just put them in order in like Windows Movie Maker and exported. You know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely agree with you. The editing feels very weird. And going kind of back to what we were talking about with Andy Serkis directing, this is probably also not everything that was in the script or the original cut of the film. I can almost guarantee you this is Sony stepping in and changing things, probably bumping it from an R rating to a PG-13, accessible for everybody type of thing. That could also explain why certain things are like, I feel like they've been like edited weird. They might be like cutting around some of the more gory things or the things that they couldn't keep in the film. That doesn't excuse the poor editing, but I feel like that's the reason why everything feels kind of choppy in the film. But
okay, so G.I. Joe Lee, when you see Venom on stage with glow sticks all around his neck, what is going through your head? Because I'm questioning my existence. I'm like, what am I doing with my life that I'm watching this movie?
That wasn't the part for me. Like, I actually thought that was funny. Because they were... I don't remember that level of glow sticks at raves, but maybe kids are raving different these days. There's definitely a lot more water. So that wasn't the part that got me. It was just like the woman who owns a convenience store talks to Carnage, or she talks to Venom now and like actually says hello to him. That's the part that like I get camp. I can't see around that. I don't know why. Part of me is like I'm not trying to take this movie seriously at all. Like, I love a good steaming pile of shit. But
as much as the next guy, but yeah.
Right? But like, for example, another sort of out there character that's kind of hard to read, and is a little crude, crass, and campy is like Deadpool, right? I didn't think that I was going to like any of those Deadpool movies because I didn't, one, understand the character, two, didn't read a lot about the character, and what I had read, I was just not a fan of. Like, the whole like chimichanga thing and like just being half dead and like making fart jokes, like it didn't seem like it was going to be for me, right? So, but here's the thing, I love those Deadpool movies.
Me too. I do. I love them. Yeah.
So I think that the same thing can be said for Venom. I don't really completely understand the character. There is now some there's apparently a parallel in the queer community that I'm not understanding, and now I want to understand and know more about, because that Venom on that level interests me. So I'll probably read the comics if it's more apparent in the comics. I just feel like the execution of this movie, I'm not saying it has to be Deadpool, but the execution of the movie could have been better. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of stuff that was good about this film. Are we going to talk about the characters yet? Because I want to say Shriek.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with the characters. Julie, who do you want to talk about first? Venom? Or...
No.
Who?
Who's that?
Yeah, Shriek. Okay, so we've already talked about Venom. Well, let's talk about Shriek, and then we'll talk about Carnage. Okay, Shriek.
Okay. Well, let's. I was gonna say, should somebody say who this person is? Because I have, like I said multiple times, I have no.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Shriek.
Background.
Becca, Josh.
Shriek is in the comics like Cletus's girlfriend, and she's like a bad character. It's just another Marvel character with a sonic scream kind of thing.
Apparently she also flies, which she was robbed of.
Banshee style flying, where she uses the scream to fly. I think I'm not 110% familiar with her as well. Like, it's mostly just when I'm reading Carnage and she's Carnage's girlfriend. I liked her. She was cool. I wish she killed more people.
Yeah, I wish she had more of a hand in like it's like a romantic comedy. Here's the thing. There's a love story, one that I wasn't aware of apparently, but two, there was also another love story that is part of Cletus's background and Carnage's background and Shriek's background. So they put two whole new characters in this film that we're supposed to kind of get, or that are that make this film richer, but it fell sort of like flat the way that most stories that pigeonhole love stories in fall flat is that they did too much and they didn't focus on the most important one. I get it. Eddie Brock and Michelle Williams used to be a thing, and like they really just kind of brought her back to remind you of that, and to also say, "Oh, hey, I'm engaged." But what they really should have done, because they were introducing Cletus and introducing Carnage, is they should have focused on that love story, and then maybe we would have seen a little more. She heist style breaks him out of prison. And that's all I remember her doing, because she gets knocked out for half of the movie.
That was confusing. Yeah. I mean, that might be a victim of the editing, like Josh was saying. Like, I felt like they were developing her, and then all of a sudden she just disappeared. Like, do you agree, Josh, that it felt that way? Like,
yeah, like at the beginning, it kind of makes sense that she disappears for a little bit because she's in prison. There's not much developing you could do if she's in like a soundproof box for a good majority of the film. But then when she's out, she feels more like a plot point and not a character, right? Like she's there to kind of set Carnage off and to have Cletus and Carnage, like a reason for the two of them to like not be connected and not be one anymore. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of a bummer because I think at the beginning it was pretty well established. They show them when they're younger in like that reform school, and then her death is faked, and she's like brought into this underground facility to presumably do like tests and stuff on her. And Cletus thinks she's gone. So like they do a good job, I think, of setting her up as a character that could be integral to the story and kind of parallel the relationship with Eddie and Venom. But then again, once she is freed, there's no time for Cletus and her to kind of like have moments together. It really feels like they're rushing it through to the end to have her scream to upset Carnage, which will start that conflict between the two of them. So it's like, yeah. I think it's well set up, and then it just doesn't pay off for me by the end of the movie. Yeah.
So, go ahead, Becca.
Well, that's one of my criticisms. Is like, as much as I do enjoy the Venom Eddie relationship, it seems like this movie cut corners, and where they cut corners was their female antagonist, and it's just like, well, when you've got two women in your movie, which, you know what? There's like, what, 5 named characters in this movie? 2 of them are aliens. 2 women? That's pretty good. They don't talk to each other at all, but whatever. It's fine. Technically, the Carnage symbiote is female, so... Technically. Yeah, fun fact. But, yeah, she gets shafted, and it's just like... They just fridge her in a bell, right? Like, she's definitely not dead for the continuity-wise, because, like, if you don't die on screen, you're not dead, right? But yeah, it was like they hyped it up, and they gave her like this story where like, oh, this cop shot her eye out, so she wants revenge, and like then nothing really comes from it. They just kind of stumble on some scaffolding outside a church for a bit. It seems like they wanted to maybe do something where Eddie and her like maybe form an alliance to try to save Cletus or something like that from the Carnage symbiote or something, but like it didn't happen. He just eats the Carnage symbiote.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was kind of expecting there to be that team up between the two of them, because we kind of have a setup where like Eddie starts to feel for Cletus and feel sorry for him, right? Because they kind of have some time without Venom and without Carnage to kind of get to know each other and start their own kind of relationship with each other. And it's very antagonistic, but it's still like a back and forth, and any kind of it seems like he's starting to kind of realize that he's still a person, even though he's this like psychopath, right? It's kind of like out of his control, the things that he does. So yeah, it was a little disappointing that it was. It just ended up kind of being like a big fight by the end of it. Yeah. At
Well-
least you could see the fight and see what was going on.
Okay, I also have to say the actress who played Shriek. I didn't realize this. It's Naomi Melanie Harris who played Miss Moneypenny in the new James Bond films. I had no idea.
Oh.
Yeah.
She was
But
also in
anyway.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
That one's for you, Josh.
Mhm.
Calypso.
Yeah.
She's
That's
also in
immediately I was
Moonlight.
like,
Yeah.
didn't see that one.
Okay.
I was like, there's no pirates in that movie. I'm not seeing it.
It's all about. Well, it doesn't matter. Okay.
I know what it's about.
Okay. So okay. So now we're gonna jump to Carnage, played by Woody Harrelson.
The boy.
Becca, you can talk first. What do you know Woody Harrelson from the most?
Recently, what's it called?
Detective?
Zombieland.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Which is an awesome movie. I haven't seen the second one, but I love the first one.
Not as good.
Okay.
They tried. No, that's just how these things work out, right? You have a movie that nobody thinks is going to do anything and is good, and then they do the second one and it's just kind of the same thing. But
Right.
they make the little girl hot and it just ruins everything.
Mhm.
No, I actually really liked him. He's crazy, but like they actually give him a decent like explanation of a backstory in a movie that is kind of short. He gets a lot of time to explain himself, like, you know, killed his mother, killed his grandmother, but was an abused child. So they just another one of those failed by the system kids but like also is a serial killer. So maybe not like not an excuse, but an explanation kind of thing. I feel like if Cletus Cassidy existed in the real world, the true crime community on the internet would have a field day with this boy. Which is a little gross, but whatever. No, I liked him. I thought he was pretty true to the comic books and maybe not as scary and as crazy as Cletus is in the comics. Which is kind of weird because he kills a lot of people. But I was like, honestly, this movie should have been rated R. They should have just embraced the horror B aesthetic and had like blood gushing everywhere and heads popping off and people dying and all that stuff. And I think it would have been way better if they just embraced the camp of everything.
Right.
I still liked him a lot. I love his character. I love when he gets out of jail and he finds the worst outfit imaginable immediately and like the flashiest car, and he just has no regard for anyone else. I love that he's a master hacker also. Shout out to the Carnage symbiote being able to just plug into a laptop and then infiltrate government facilities. One of the best parts in any movie that's ever happened.
I think the line is, "Do you have USB?"
What the?
I thought that they maybe could have just done that a little differently. Like maybe he could have like infiltrated some police office and then there was documents or something. But no, just have the Carnage symbiote just right into the mainframe of that guy's laptop. That was bad. But I did like Carnage. I liked Cletus's relationship with Eddie. I love that he calls him his only friend. He's like, "You were my only friend," and like they're literally trying to kill each other. I love
with that red Party City wig though. Jeez.
That was what I'm talking about. Like, I know that Woody Harrelson's bald, but that wig was terrible.
It was an improvement on the one from the first Venom movie, if you remember that.
I'm gonna look it up. But you're probably right.
It was really bad. Like, you want to talk about Party City? It was just like generic curly red wig.
Right.
It's awful.
Sorry, Becca, I interrupted you.
No, that's part of why I loved it. I loved how like they had so much money. The costume department had so much money, and they were like, "Nah, bad wig, go." And it's like, you know what? Sure, a guy he was just on death row. He just almost got executed. Maybe he would have a bad wig of a hairstyle, right? Sure. I really enjoyed how bad it was. I just don't. I want people to know that I don't think that it was a technically good movie.
Yeah.
But I think I enjoyed it for a lot of reasons that maybe most people won't. Not that I'm like special or like nobody understands things like I do. No, I just it reminded me of the reasons why I like other movies
Other
too.
things, exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Like slasher films and monster movies, and the reason
Okay.
that I attached myself to those as a kid was because like I think this movie wanted to be Shape of Water and it wasn't, but it gave me the same feelings that Shape of Water did.
Okay.
If that makes sense. With the
Yeah, I can see that.
with the romance and the othering that Shape of Water does to like make you feel like you are worthy of being loved. Like it does that kind of feeling.
Do you see this movie winning Best Picture next year?
I don't know. There's like 5 movies this year. Who knows?
It's got a chance.
It's got a chance. Okay. G.I.
What do you think's gonna be Best Picture this year? It might be Tenet for all we know, and that wasn't a good movie.
I thought it was a pretty good movie. It's a little dry, but I liked it. You didn't like compared to this. Oh my. Anyway. Okay.
Yeah, there was no big beefy hot boy. No, that's not why Tenet had a big beefy hot boy.
Yeah,
it had so many hot boys.
2. Oh my God, at 2 at least. Anyway, okay, G.I. Jolie. Woody Harrelson as Carnage. What do you think?
Woody Harrelson in the role of Cletus Cassidy. Okay. Interesting. An interesting choice. He's a chameleon. Because
okay.
He's a chameleon whose face doesn't change.
And he always acts exactly the same. I gotcha.
Yeah, like his head is the same, and then his wigs change. No, because when you ask Becca, what she knew him from, or like what you remember him from in recent memory, I was like flipping through his filmography. I was like, shoot, there's so much I remember him from, or that I should remember him from, but he is kind of just like this chameleon. He's like a great choice to be in this film. Are we doing Carnage separately?
Well, I guess so. Sure. Let's talk about Carnage himself, or whatever he is.
I really wish that they would not have done the Venom shtick and the Carnage shtick similar.
Sure.
I feel like the creative minds behind this film could have thought of a different way to sort of differentiate between the two, made Carnage a little more special. Except for the fact that it was still kind of the same thing where it's like, oh, he sort of fuses with his body, and once he does that, it's a voiceover.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say quickly, I actually don't mind that, because to me, isn't that how all symbiotes are, right?
Right. Yeah, I didn't mind it. I think what was poorly done was showing the parallels between the two. And if you were to show how similar they kind of act with each other, that being Cletus and Carnage and Eddie and Venom, and then by the end of the film you realize that no, these two relationships are nothing alike. Eddie and Venom are one. Like, they together kind of complete each other and are Venom. There is no Venom without Eddie, and there is no Venom without the symbiote. With Carnage, they're two completely different entities, and they aren't compatible. Like, they're both these wild, uncontrollable beings that, when put together, they make this extremely powerful thing, but they just don't mesh, right? So I think if they were to have played that up a little bit more and kind of show the parallels of like them talking to each other and how that relationship goes, I think it would have completely worked. But I think it just didn't do a great job of connecting those lines. So yeah, I didn't mind. That definitely didn't take me out of the movie with like it being so similar, but it could have been done better. Yeah, I think Woody Harrelson did a really great job too. Like he's extremely campy while still being like pretty scary. Um, and I mean, like it's also kind of weird seeing Woody Harrelson play Carnage because people have been fan casting him to be Carnage since the Sam Raimi movies.
Oh,
Like
I didn't know that.
when Venom was announced for, the 2003 Spider-Man 3, I think it was 2003, whenever that was, 2007, I guess, was Spider-Man 3. People wanted Woody Harrelson to be in the fourth installment as Carnage, and so when that stinger happened at the end of the first Venom, where Woody Harrelson is there, that's why everybody went crazy, and it was this huge deal that Woody Harrelson has kind of like joined the Venom movie because everybody wanted him to be Carnage from the beginning. So it was kind of a weird feeling to be like, it felt right, but it was also kind of surreal to be like, it's finally happening. The fans finally got Woody Harrelson as Carnage. But yeah, he did good. I don't have any complaints about him in the movie.
I mean, I guess, again, I've always had a hard time taking him seriously just because I know him as Woody from Cheers. So even though he was in, True Detective and what's that one?
White
Natural
Men
Killers.
Can't Jump.
Yeah, like
People versus Larry Flint.
Yeah, he's done some A movies, but I've always had a hard time taking him seriously, but I did not think he was great in this movie at all. And I don't like the way Venom looked. I honestly don't like the texture of Carnage and Venom's, like when they come out of their bodies. I don't like the way they look at all. I didn't like Carnage's face. Oh God, I didn't like anything about this movie, but I didn't like him at all. I didn't like him. So what else is there to talk about? Oh, would we talk about Michelle Williams? Because Michelle Williams is great. I always love Michelle Williams. She was perfect.
But why was she even in this movie?
Yeah.
Well, I have no idea, but she was great.
She was there because they needed to bring back Dr. Dan because he's a fan favorite. And you can't just have Anne's new fiance there without... Look, Dan was great in this movie, okay? He went into the scary church with the scary aliens and he saved his girlfriend / fiance. Good for him. What a man. And he dealt with all of this alien garbage and he was like, well, you know what? Sometimes the girl you love, sometimes her ex-fiance has an alien attached to him, and sometimes you gotta help him out of some stuff because you're a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the family dynamic that Eddie, Venom, Dan, and Anne have. I'm just like, Anne and Dan are like the parents, and Eddie and Venom are Eddie's their child, and Venom is their son's really just not good for you boyfriend.
Well, it's almost like Dan is Venom's stepdad.
Yep.
And he wants his mom and dad to be back together again, right? And I think that she's really great, and I enjoy her in this movie, like her character in the movie, up until she gets captured. I'm just like, I was like, oh, come on. Like, I enjoyed that dynamic between all of the characters. She's actually doing stuff. She's taking on the symbiote. She's becoming like her version of Venom. Like there's some fun stuff happening there. They're running away together. And then of course Carnage has got to come in and steal her and have her in the church. So Eddie has to go and save her. And it's like, the whole time I'm hoping that like they're gonna like work together and maybe the symbiote will like jump back and forth between the two to defeat Carnage or something. But no, of course not. She's just like a damsel in distress by the end of the movie, which blows. Like Dan has a moment at the end of the movie where he helps out and saves the day, but she's still kind of just like being held up in the air, and Carnage is threatening to kill her. And then Carnage, instead of just killing her in front of Eddie, like he's like, I'm going to make you watch. And then he leaves the church and goes up to the top of the tower. It's just like, it was very...
But that was the writing. Like her acting was great all the way through, right? Can we all agree on that?
She was good.
Well, when she was in Miss Chen's store, and she's like trying to convince Venom to go back to Eddie. That's a great scene. When she's flirting with him.
Yeah.
When she's flirting with Venom, it's a great scene.
I mean, G.I. Julie, what'd you think of her, Michelle Williams, in this?
She's always fine.
Yeah, okay. Are there any other characters we haven't talked about yet?
There's the detective.
Yeah, he's actually like gonna be in the next one for sure, because what's his name? Stephen Mulligan, the guy, he's Toxin. So
Is that
yeah.
what's going on? I don't understand how that happened, but
so comic book wise, Venom births Carnage and Carnage births Toxin, and the way that symbiotes work is like your children are stronger than you always.
okay.
And then like all of the like the fun symbiotes, like all of them, like I can't remember all their names, but then they show up and stuff, and there's things like that. But I'm pretty sure that in this one, Shriek gave him the powers.
Yeah.
Maybe he got some symbiote goo mixed in there that I didn't notice. But like, sure, he was there.
Mhm.
He was Angie. What an Angie dude.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't get enough time with him as a character to develop like any sort of story. Every like story beat we got with him was just a flashback of him when he was younger, so we didn't even know it was him. Right. So it was kind of like I would have liked to have seen more of him, because I think he did a great job, and I kind of like that he's almost like a secondary antagonist to Eddie that needs to kind of help out. But at the end of the day, it's kind of what I wanted Shriek to be. But yeah, I don't know if I have much to say about him.
I have nothing to say. G.I. Julie, do you?
Okay.
No, I think it's interesting that there's another character called Toxin, which I'm definitely going to be reading about, hopefully with not too much effort. But yeah. When are we going to bring up do we have, do you know what?
What?
No, I'll wait till we're done with characters.
Well, I was going to say, we're done with everything else. Do you want to talk about spoilers now?
Sure.
Or do you want to do something else?
We want to talk about
Spoilers.
the spoiler.
Well,
okay,
I want to know what Jolie wanted to talk about.
Okay, go ahead, Jolie.
Oh, I was just going to talk about Eddie Brock and how we're all talking about how Tom Hardy's like, well, I think Josh had said it too. It's like, I can't picture Tom Hardy not being Eddie Brock anymore, and it's true. Could you imagine if Topher Grace was Eddie Brock?
Yeah. Well, I hated him when he was in Spider-Man 3, but now looking back, I'm like,
I hate him even more.
I just feel like he wouldn't be able to like hold up the character of Venom.
Y'all are laughing now, but when he shows up in Spider-Man No Way Home,
can't wait.
Okay.
I can't wait that if there's no Andrew Garfield, no Tobey Maguire, it's just going to be Topher Grace.
Topher Grace.
I hope
bunch of Topher Graces.
Yes.
Only Topher Grace.
Oh, it's only
Let's talk
Topher Grace.
Spoilers, folks. Are we going to talk about, if you're watching the video right now, stop your podcast. If you're listening on Apple, what is it called? Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Spotify, stop if you don't want to hear spoilers. We're going to spoil the end of the movie.
I'm sure if they're on the internet, they've already and haven't seen Venom, they've already been spoiled.
If you haven't seen Venom, why are you listening to this review?
Well, yes, but anyway, we still have to warn people.
Yeah. The only thing that would have stopped that spoiler from getting out was the fact that Facebook and Instagram were down for 4 hours yesterday. That's like the only thing. But now that they're up, you can't escape. I'm sorry, but all of my social media has just been this spoiler. So
which spoiler, Becca? You introduced the spoiler we're talking about.
The one where Venom and Eddie get married and go on their honeymoon and have a lovely time on the beach and tell each other that they love each other.
Is that what that was?
It was absolutely them on a honeymoon.
Okay.
They're at the beach. They rented a room. One room.
I didn't even think of it that way, but okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when Carnage gets
says,
killed.
I love you.
Okay, but what about when Carnage gets his head bit off and now he's dead? Now he won't be in the next movie.
Wait, that's
Huh?
Yeah, I thought you were
That's
talking about
the
like
spoiler. Carnage. That was like when people said, "Do not spoil the movie." That was the first thing they said. Do not spoil the death of blank, because they didn't want anyone to spoil the death.
no. I'm
That's what I
pretty
saw.
sure it was the fact
The
that
after
Venom
credit
is now
scene.
in the MCU.
Yeah.
Oh no, but we're not getting. We're talking about. We haven't gotten.
Well,
to
when
that
you
yet. We're talking
say
about
spoiler, I'm
Oh
not
yeah, when you
thinking.
say
body-
spoiler, I'm
we're on
thinking
the main body of the movie.
spoiler.
No,
Yeah,
the
because
main
the main
first we're
antagonist
talking
of the
about
last one
Carnage.
died too. So,
Okay,
you
so
know.
no one cares about Woody Harrelson. Okay, fuck him. Okay, let's talk about Venom being in the Marvel MCU.
I mean,
So-
he could be dead. He could come back. Who cares?
Well, whatever. So the spoiler is that now this is 100% connected to the MCU. Does anybody want to comment on that?
Hilarious. I cannot wait for disaster bisexual Eddie Brock to show up into Twink Tom Holland land and be like, well, this is my son now. What the
Yeah,
hell
he
are they
even
gonna
like
do?
licked the thing. It's great.
Venom like took one look at Spider-Man and went like, nah, don't like this kid. Hate him. It's gonna be
But
stupid. And I can't wait.
it's so frustrating because Venom's motivation in the comic, the reason he becomes Venom is because Peter Parker like fucks him over for the story basically. So now they've removed that because Sony has to have their Venomverse, and now they're going to try and shoehorn him into the MCU, right?
Well, he's just
Do you think
like,
it's really shoehorned though? Do you think Doc
Yeah.
Ock? Do you think Doc Ock is going to be shoehorned into a No Way Home?
Well, first of all, yes, but Doc Ock's origin is not as dependent, I don't think, on Peter Parker as Venom's. Venom's origin is literally Eddie Brock hates Peter Parker, and then Eddie Brock merges with the symbiote and becomes Venom. So now obviously we know that his origin is different, but what I'm pointing out is that it completely weakens the character, because originally he was like the opposite. He was a reporter like Peter Parker, so he was like the shadow of Peter Parker, the opposite of Peter Parker. Now he's just some guy from another universe that has a costume that suspiciously enough, he's got eyes just like I do, even though in that universe Spider-Man doesn't exist. Isn't that funny? And now what, in this universe he's going to grow a spider on his chest? You know what I mean? Like,
I
yeah,
think
but
you are too angry about this.
Yeah, like it's a completely. I'm totally fine with it. Like we get it. We're getting a completely different version of Spider-Man, right? And
well, I don't like that either, but
okay,
Yeah,
well,
but the
I'm
other
just
ones
saying, like,
are going to be there too, so have your pick.
what's that?
The other ones are going to be there in there too, probably. So like, you'll have your pick of Spider-Man. You can pick your Spider-Man. You can pick your Venom. You can take.
I'm
little
just
bits and
pointing out
pieces.
that like it's kind of like whatever. I mean, we could go into other things, but I'm just not. I don't honestly. I don't care. Like, it's not even. I'd rather see Topher Grace's Venom at this point.
I think
Maybe
that-
he'll be there too.
I think it's going to be fine. I think that they're going to play it off like Venom is another variant of Spider-Man from another universe coming in, right? You can have Venom, the entity Venom. They're trying to be heroes, right? So they're going to try to emulate a hero from a dimension that they pop into. That's how they can connect it to Spider-Man. Like, they can go so many different routes with
Okay,
it.
then let me
And-
ask you.
Yeah.
If I hope that they put even that effort into it, even though I don't think that's great, but I don't know. I think their explanation will be much more stupid than that. I don't know. I'm worried.
Well, it doesn't also mean that this version of Eddie Brock is going to be in any Spider-Man movie. Like, they're just like, oh, Eddie Brock is the multiverse. It's connected. So now all of the Sonyverse things can be in the MCU, and now Disney can use Kraven the Hunter, can use all of what Sony's got to bring in. So I think it's more not necessarily Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock is going to interact with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and it's more those two universes can now coexist outside of the like movieverse and in the real world. Like, now it's like everybody can put their hands in and take what they want. So
Yeah.
do I think
Or
Tom
not
Hardy's
take
going to
what
be
they
in No?
want.
Yeah. Is Tom Hardy going to be in No Way Home? No. I don't think that's what this means.
Well, maybe he might be. Why not? Go ahead, Joey.
Well,
background.
I think it's more. I think it's more of a. The big companies, the big three companies, are willing to play in the same sandbox thing now. Me and Brent kind of talked about it yesterday on full volume, and it's less about characters crossing over. Well, that is nice, and they will now allow it to happen. It's more about, well, this company is not going to just like ignore what you're doing with a character that it technically owns. They will consider, like Marvel and Disney will consider what Sony is doing as continuity.
By explaining it through the multiverse, which I think is the perfect way to do it.
Yeah.
To kind of have both versions and explain how they can kind of cross over, but also not at the same time, because it's like a different version of this. You could have it by the end where you just bring Andrew Garfield back, and Andrew Garfield is now in all of the Venom movies from now on. You know what I mean? Like, you can go and have, with the multiverse now opening up and saying that all of these are technically canon, they're just from different universes, you can make the movies you want to make now without having to, like...
I think, you know what? I think the reason why I care so little about what's happening with Flashpoint and with Into the whatever it's called is that I mean, I guess my question is, why does everyone need these to be canon? Because if I want to watch Michael Keaton's Batman, I can just watch it. I mean, it's kind of cool to see the Flash from now interact with Michael Keaton, because I want to see Michael Keaton again. But like the fact that the Michael Keaton Batman exists in the new whatever verse it is now, I don't know. I care so little about that. Now, granted, I was excited when I saw Quicksilver. What's his name again? The actor? Quicksilver.
Which one?
Like this, the X-Men one. Aaron. Evan Peters. When I saw Evan Peters in WandaVision, I was really excited. Of course, the explanation for that everyone was disappointed by. But I honestly think that it's like the law of diminishing returns. It's like, okay, it was Evan Peters, and now it's Eddie Brock, and then it's going to be someone else. And then I think we're going to be disappointed by what they do. I think we're more excited about the possibilities and what we're actually going to see. That's my worry.
I don't think so. I think that as a movie standpoint and like story wise, it will start to get tired. Like it'll start to weigh down on us, but it's never not going to feed the general audience. The general audiences, I think, are going to eat it up always. That's why when I watched Rogue One and Ponda Baba walks on screen, everybody in the movie theater cheers. It's like, why is this character here in this moment? Why does it all need to be connected in this way? It doesn't, and it's weird that this is happening, but fans love it because it's something familiar, and I think that's why it
Some
works.
Fans do. I thought we talked about this.
Obviously, I hate it.
Nothing will make
like
you
it.
happy, Mike.
I fucking hate it.
But
what's that, Becca?
But it
Nothing
works.
will ever make you happy.
No. A lot of things make me happy. I'm always happy.
But that's also why all of these Disney remakes are so successful, and they just keep doing them over and over again. It's an automatic. It's an automatic reference to something that you already know and love. That's why Michael Keaton coming back as Batman is something where it's like, are you excited for any DCEU movie in this Snyderverse thing? Yeah. In the Snyderverse thing.
I hate the Snyderverse. I never liked it, so I don't care about it.
But you're excited to see Michael Keaton as Flash? Are you not?
Because I like
right?
Yeah. Yeah,
so
but okay,
it's the thing that you're familiar with and that you love, and they're bringing it back.
You just said that the Disney films work, and that's why they made so much money. Everything I see right now on social media is they want to erase the Disney Star Wars sequels because everyone hates them so much. People hate Rey so much that Daisy Ridley had to get therapy. Kelly Marie, what's her name? Tran had to like go off of Facebook. So I know what you're saying.
But couldn't you also say that about the prequels? And now everybody loves the prequels. And it's
Hayden Christensen, the kid who played Nick and quit acting.
He's in prison now.
When you say everybody, it's not everybody.
Well, here's the thing, though. The money is saying yes, we like this because the Rey merchandise sells. People line up to go visit her at the Disney parks. Like people on the internet are loud, but money talks way louder. And those movies made a shit ton of money.
Have you heard anybody complain about Ewan McGregor coming back for the Obi-Wan series? How about
No,
Hayden
and
Christensen coming back
here's
to
the
play
thing.
Darth Vader again?
Wait a minute.
It's
These are
because
two different
people
things,
know
though.
that and it's
Wait a minute,
familiar
though.
and they're bringing it back and people are
Here's
just
the
going to
thing.
eat it up.
Here's the thing: Ewan McGregor playing Obi-Wan Kenobi in a new series is one thing, but bringing back Pondo Baba onto a different planet and saying the exact same line he said in 1977 on another planet is not the same thing as recasting Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi or recasting Michael Keaton as Batman. It is nostalgia, but it's a different one. Is I think a cheap exploitation of nostalgia, and then the other is like saying, like, there's nothing wrong with bringing something back, but it's how you do it. I think that's the difference. G.I. Joe Lee, do you want to weigh in on this?
Well, yeah, I think Becca's correct. Money talks, and this movie made a shitload of money in its first weekend.
Venom?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
think
did.
90.2 million or something, or was it 60? Am I flipping the numbers? I
It
don't
was
know.
huge.
90 million, yeah. Like 90 million.
109.6 so far is the reported amount. So, yeah. Do we love nostalgia? Yes. Do we love familiar faces being recast? Absolutely. Doesn't matter if it's a different planet. It's in there for somebody. I mean,
Well,
not a lot of people liked the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossovers, but I freaking loved seeing every Superman in
that was, well,
in the television universe, and you didn't.
no, I thought it was
So
so fucking badly done. But anyway.
But
And
that's
didn't
the
you
thing.
give me those comics? You're like, here, take them.
Oh, no. Are you talking about Infinite Crisis?
No,
Well, we-
whatever.
no,
Anyway,
I
move
gave
on.
you Heroes in Crisis. That's
That's what it was.
completely different.
Sorry.
DC names all their stories the same thing. It's very confusing.
It's
But
a
here's the thing-
variation on a crisis.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Is that okay? We can justify, like, Venom made 90 million. The Star Wars movie made 2 billion each. That's fine, but it doesn't mean that I have to think it's good. There's no way in hell
No,
it's good.
but a
Yeah.
lot of
No,
us
but-
did.
That's fine.
No.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing that it's good. I don't think that these Disney remakes are good. I don't think that just doing things for nostalgia's sake is good. But that's the reason why they keep doing it. Is because it's always going to be successful. Is
Well-
it good? No.
But wait, you say that, but okay, let me just give you the counter argument. There's another channel called Midnight's Edge, and now I don't really like.
Oh
Midnight's
my
Edge.
God.
Julie,
I don't want to quote
stop.
those people.
Please stop. No, I don't like them either. But can I say my point? They made a point that the Star Wars box office has declined since The Force Awakens. Now, I think there's other reasons it's declined, but their reasoning is that the fans hate Star Wars and now they like Marvel more and blah blah blah. So the fact is the numbers have declined. They think it's for one reason. I think it's for another. I think it's that when you say that this is always going to work and this is always going to make money, it's not. It's because all you have to do is look at Solo and go, why did Solo bomb? Why did a Star Wars movie bomb at the box office? I thought that nostalgia is always going to work. I thought that recasting actors as the same characters over and over again is going to work forever, but it doesn't work forever because when you do it poorly, sometimes audiences reject it. And that's what happened with Solo, and it's going to happen in the future with Marvel or DC.
I actually disagree with you there. I think it's just the sequel thing because Empire made less money than A New Hope, and then Return of the Jedi made even less money than Empire. And it's about the same ratio from the new one.
That's
so it has.
I agree.
I don't think it has anything to do with.
You're right, but now but Solo is a different story. Solo made like a lot less money. It made like for Solo only made 300 million worldwide, which compared to like Rogue One made like 1 billion worldwide. So that's a gigantic drop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just pointing out that there are people that say, "Oh, they can just keep doing it," but I mean, at some point, people will get sick of it, I think. But maybe not.
I think at some point, maybe, but I don't think it's
anytime soon.
I mean, we've been reviewing superhero movies for years, and they just keep making more and more, and they're successful. You hate this movie, and it's already one of the most successful movies of the year, box office wise.
Yeah, well,
It is a pandemic, but sure.
and
But
it's also based on 90 million people, or not 90, whatever, however many million people saw it. We can't measure if they liked it, right? We only know that they saw it. So yes, it generated enough buzz to get people to go see it, but that doesn't prove they liked it, right?
well, they came back for another one. They came back for another Venom movie.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Which means they liked Venom 1, which is mind-boggling, but
You saw both and you didn't like either. So at the end of the day,
hey,
I don't think
I'm
the studio
guilty.
gives a shit as long as you're giving them money.
that's true. I'm guilty.
Like,
And
you're
you know
the
what's
problem.
sad? Well, I am the problem. But you know what's sad is that The Suicide Squad is better than all these movies, and it made the least amount of money, which
It was rated
boggles
R,
my
though.
mind. Okay.
Rated R
maybe
movie, Deadpool not including, tend to make less money because less people can see them.
And I believe it also released on digital at the same time. So I think the box office is that is not included in the box office.
I think, isn't Venom 2 technically doing better than what's it called?
Shang-Chi?
Black Widow.
Oh, probably.
And what about Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi, I don't think so. I think Shang-Chi is still
Bigger?
bigger.
I mean,
yeah.
that's technically Marvel Studios, so it's naturally going to make more money.
There's also like, it's not the end of the pandemic by any stretch of the means, but
Oh, I thought it was gone.
I felt better in the theater this time seeing Venom than I did when I saw The Suicide Squad, because everyone around me was vaccinated and had to be to see that movie. So like, are more people just going to the theater? Are more people going to now just go to the theater as people
That
just
could be
assume things are better? They're not. Hey, everybody, this pandemic's not over.
Right.
This Venom review got real heated.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Venom.
So now none of us are friends because of Venom. Which we all knew it would come down to this.
It was always
Well,
gonna be
the
Venom.
good news is if you're a regular listener of Here Comes the Spider-Cast, we're going to be reviewing the very first full appearance of Eddie Brock.
Like in a year.
Within like
Year and
15
a half.
weeks. No, not a year and a half. Within like
Doesn't he not show up until 299?
within about a half a year from now.
Oh, cool. Can't wait.
300. Yeah,
Really?
300.
Get the
So-
hype rolling
yep.
now.
Oh wow.
So stay tuned.
Joke's on you. We actually already reviewed the first appearance of Eddie Brock because his hand was in that one issue.
Right. Someone told me that technically Eddie Brock's, that character was originally supposed to be a woman. I don't know if that's true. So that hand might have been a woman's hand.
It was a pink shirt.
There you go.
And we all know pink equals lady.
Yes.
So anyway, stay tuned for that. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I think my final thoughts are Venom, Let There Be Carnage is not a masterpiece of a movie, let alone a masterpiece of a superhero film. But I think it is one of the more fun movie-going experiences that I've had in a little while. It's definitely more fun than most of the DC movies that I've seen. Like I had more fun watching this than the Snyder Cut. Like I'd watch this again before I watched the Snyder Cut. You know what I mean? Like
You had more fun watching Venom without us than you did watching Snyder Cut with
I had
us.
more fun watching the movie because we were drunk and like I was hanging out with you guys.
I was like, excuse me, we were together.
But like for the film, there's no way in hell I would ever sit down and watch the Snyder Cut just for fun. But like, this I can put on while I'm vacuuming or like sitting down like drawing or playing on my Switch or something. Like I can have it on in the background and there's like fun moments, and I love the dynamic between the two characters. There's funny moments throughout the film, but again, it's not great.
Yeah, it's funny. I really hate Zack Snyder and I hate the Snyderverse and I hate everything he's ever done, but I think I'd rather watch one of his movies than this because at least he's attempting to make a good movie. At least he thinks he's making a good movie. I don't think anyone involved in Venom 2 thinks they're making a good movie. Maybe Andy Serkis does, but if he is, he's deluding himself. G.I. Joe.
What?
What do you think?
Final thoughts.
Final
What's your
thoughts?
final thoughts?
Oh,
No thoughts, head empty.
I stopped having thoughts 5 to 10 minutes ago. I have moved on.
Okay, so do you recommend this movie?
No.
All right. I don't either. Well, I guess that wraps up.
Beck's final
Wait.
thoughts.
Just skip me every goddamn time.
No, you can't.
Doesn't like my opinion, so I don't exist.
No, Becca. Okay, go ahead. What's your
Typical
final
man silencing queer women all over the place.
Right.
Look at this. I'm
thoughts?
just
That's what
totally
the show is
joking.
about. That's what we're dedicated to. Okay, Becca. What are your final thoughts on Venom 2?
I love Venom 2. And for reasons that most of the Venom fans probably disagree with. But I will say that the movie's been out for a few days and there is so much fan art from this movie from people. There's so much fan fiction already. And that doesn't happen. This stuff doesn't just roll out like with MCU movies, it takes a couple of weeks for all this stuff to come out. But like the people who love this movie and who are taking some very, I think, good things from this movie personally are gonna be loud about it, and clearly because it's making money. But I think Venom is on the right track to showcase some weird shit in a mainstream way, and I'm actually really excited about that. I want like smaller creators who are just super weird. I want them to make more movies. I want them to see this movie and be like, oh, that movie made a lot of money. I got a weird monster fucker movie. Let's make that. Like, I just want more. And I think this is it's an interesting be like, hey, look at this big budget box office success, technically MCU movie. It was a lot of hot garbage. You could make some hot garbage, and I love me some hot garbage. So, and like, you gotta understand, a lot of the content that I watched growing up as a kid that had anybody in it that was anything like me, so like queer youth and stuff like that, it wasn't big budget Hollywood movies. There's still no openly queer MCU character really who's had like a relationship or like been like, hey, like, yeah, Tessa Thompson's been like, Valkyrie's gay, but Valkyrie hasn't said she's gay. Like, there hasn't been anything. There still isn't. There's still no representation. Right. So like the content that I have to watch
probably won't be.
Which is the sad thing. So I think if this is as close as I'm gonna get, I'm gonna take it. Because I feel like I'm 12 years old again and I'm grasping for straws at the media I'm consuming and just hoping that maybe somebody's a little bit like me in there. And that's what I took from Venom. And I know not a lot of people are going to take that from Venom because it's a very unique experience, I think. And I knew as soon as I got out of the theater, I was like, Mike's going to hate this fucking movie. For sure. There's no way. I knew right away. And I knew that a lot of people weren't going to like it. Mm-hmm. You're very predictable. I was like, Mike's going to hate this movie and think Michelle Williams was really great.
How did you know?
I don't know. Just
anyway.
a hunch.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed this movie for the feelings that it made me feel like I was 12 years old and hiding the fact that I was gay from my parents because I didn't want anyone to know, and hiding it from myself, and then realizing that I was relating to the characters that were coded gay in my media because they couldn't explicitly be there. So that's what this. It's been a pretty negative review for a lot of good reasons. I'm not going to say most of the reasons are good reasons, but it made me feel, I don't know, nice again. And like the internet's, at least the corner of the internet that I'm on, which is not really the corner of the internet that a lot of other people are on because Twitter is a nightmare. But the corner of the internet that I'm on loved the movie and loved gay coming out of the closet Venom, and I think I do too. So that's my review. Go see Venom. Safe search on though if you're searching fan art from the movie Venom. Just as a heads up.
Well, if you enjoyed this review as much as we did, we do this every week.
We're all like,
when we talk about Spider-Man comics on Here Comes the Spider-Cast. And G.I. Jolie does another podcast about all of the different Marvel shows, right?
Yes, me and Harvey Brent discuss all of Marvel Disney Plus's droppings. We are gearing up to talk about the last What If episode. And then after that, we have a big break before Hawkeye. So we're going to be doing some more tiered lists. Evan Peters themed.
Right up my alley.
Yeah, so
And
like Josh, if
where
you want to
he's-
join us.
Yeah, I'm always down.
I like the one where he's a psychopath Donald Trump guy from
We're
American Horror
actually
Story.
there's just so many levels of his expertise, his profession, that we're gonna do one whole episode that's where we tier list all of his AHS characters. And then we're going to do all of his television and film roles because they have to be done separately. It's just
If I can't be on that episode, can you put in an extra vote for Claw Hands Evan Peters for me?
freak show. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Because I like the Claw Hands.
Oh, I love that too. Do you know,
It was good FX.
We'll make it happen. What are you doing Saturday mornings?
I'm probably working. If I'm or nothing. So I'll let you know.
Okay.
Well, 50-50.
And then we will let you know.
I just like ditch out of work because I'm like, oh, I gotta talk about Evan Peters for an hour real quick. I'll be right back. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I love this. Is the most off the rails review I think we've ever done. I
Did
love
you
it.
watch Venom too? It was pretty off the rails.
It's true. That is true.
And we also do Flea Market Fantasy with Mike Dell every Tuesday. So please tune into that.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the review.
Get out of here.
Go ahead, Josh.
Is there something else to plug?
No, that's it.
Oh, well, thank you guys so much for listening to what we've got to say. It's always fun, I think, when we don't agree with each other all the time and we can have these sorts of discussions because it's kind of boring when we're just like, yep, movie was good. Yep, movie was bad. So let us know what you guys thought about the movie in the comments below, or head over to Twitter at Comic Syndicate and tweet at us there. We definitely want to know what you guys thought about this movie. Because it's like it's pretty divided.
You're right. And the next movie is Eternals. So until then, see you later.